to get things started on the most sensational, inspirational, celebrational, motivational. This is what we call a morning show.
Wait, did you start?
Yes, we're
okay.
Okay. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mimi. Coffee cheers.
Good morning, tea.
Cheers.
Good morning, Danny.
Good morning. Good morning. Hi. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the morning show.
It's always morning at ITP.
It is always morning at ITP.
We have a special guest today. As you can see, he's already here.
Daniel Rozin. Hey.
My background was industrial design, so I was okay with working with computers as in for design, but I never thought I would use computers and electronics and digital stuff for my own self-expression or to author on a computer. So that, I took physical computing with Dan Sullivan and learned how to program and everything like all of you. And for me it was a revelation, and after a while what I felt was that I no longer want to do these design projects for other clients. I want to do it for myself, and that was an evolution. I can't say at one moment that happened, but when I look back, my first projects under the fellowship and at ITP were more design projects, looking at new interaction design possibilities, creating new tools. And maybe 2-3 years after that, as I was creating the wooden mirror, I started thinking, and based on feedback from others also, the word art suddenly started to get into the mix. And it wasn't a word that I was very comfortable with for the first maybe 5 to 10 years. It took me a while to acknowledge and say, yes, what I'm doing is art, and that really freed me from some constraints.
That's interesting, because I feel like that's a discussion that happens here at ITP a lot, about whether we're artists, or we're designers, or we're just making things, or if all those things are exclusive. And I guess, could you tell us more about what made you be comfortable with saying, no, that this is art, and I'm an artist?
Right. First of all, I'm still a designer, and I see art as a design process or design project in which the client or the audience can be whoever you assign. It could even be just yourself, and you're creating a project that needs to satisfy you, and once you decide that, then your design process goes, and you can verify, you can do user checking, you can do everything, but you have to know that. So for me, it's really not different being an artist and designer. And if there's one word, if I'd have to summarize who I am in one word, it would be designer, not artist. The discussion of what is art is not one that I find any interest in engaging. It's very hard for me to say what is art, what is not. And it's, over the years, it's very easy for me to say what is good and what is not. So that's a discussion that I very happily have. When I see a project, I immediately know if it's good or bad. It's very hard for me to say, is it art or is it not, or is it important to make that distinction at all. So for me, it was more of a third-party thing. When galleries start selling my art and museums start showing my art, and these were art museums, so I guess I'm an artist.
It's like you've got somebody, all of a sudden it's like, well, this is the world I'm in now, so this is the thing that it is.
Right. And I don't always feel comfortable within that world, which is sometimes superficial and sometimes commercial, and sometimes doesn't understand the new media that we work in. So we're still kind of surrogate citizens of that high art world. So like that, I feel like an ambassador or even a pioneer in that, but not always fitting in, and not always wanting to fit in as well.
Do you feel you're wanted either by if you're showing with other people that are doing stuff? I mean,
It's a good question. It still is a bit. I don't want to use the word ghetto is not a good one because it has a bad connotation, but it still is very segregated or segmented that, I showed a gallery bit formed which is for new media. So it's not just any. And a lot of the shows, if you're invited to show in a group show, usually the word digital or some other new media word will be in it. So it's not like you're just an artist. I think we're, when you look back at maybe at video art. So video art now is completely accepted. Everything about it is known. We know how to create it, we know how to collect it, we know how to curate it, we know how to restore it. And it's been 50 years since we started doing video art. And it's been maybe 15 years since we started doing digital art. So I think we still have about 35 years until we get that kind of acceptance and ubiquity with...
because then it over.
Right.
And approach it from different angles, I guess.
I hope so. We had in my class...
This is what happens at the ER. We
actually hand out nervous people interrupting the broadcast.
What do you need a laptop?
How rude.
Oh, jeez. We're going to get fired for not doing our job.
I was like witnessing it right there. There's the documentation.
Don't tell Rob. Okay, sorry.
I teach this kinetic sculpture workshop class now, which is great. And yesterday we had a Skype visit from Theo Jensen, who is a famous kinetic artist from Holland. He does these big animals that walk on the beach. He's really cool. And one of the things he was talking about is the idea of obsession. And he said he thought that part of his success was how narrow and obsessed he was with. He does the same things. He used the same kind of pipes that are used for electrical wiring or something. And he said that he was joking, but he said that these pipes talk to him. If you look behind almost every artist, or almost, maybe it's not only for art, anyone who's achieved anything in life, there's usually some sort of at least stubbornness, if not obsession, with failing and trying again, and just digging deeper, instead of throwing a wider net in.
It's funny that you say that, because I was just telling Adam this. When I first came to ITP, one of the first pieces of advice I got was that if I wanted to succeed, I needed to focus on one thing. And you were brought up as an example.
Oh, really? It's funny because, I advise students before every semester, and my advice goes against that. Even though as a career and as I can see the virtue of obsession, but maybe now as students, maybe it's more important for you to be wide. And maybe one of the strengths of ITP that I think as a student actually it is important not to engage in that obsession yet. I'm not sure if I believe in what I just said.
But you also, we're talking about evolution, but your obsession didn't start right away.
Right.
It also it grew after a little while and during your the period of research.
Right.
It was like you needed to be open-minded in order to find the thing.
Right.
And for me, it's definitely a second career. I was an industrial designer, and I worked at that for 10 years. And I was pretty high in managerial in a corporation, and I really saw ITP as a possibility for looking at new stuff. So maybe I was right to say, once I figured out, and for me the tools did that. So physical computing plus programming plus my background in design, this intersection opened up a whole surge of creativity and wanting to do my own self-expression, which I never had as a designer before. And when that settled in, I guess I allowed myself to be sucked into my own obsessive or repetitive mode.
And you got out of ITP broke the current pattern and allowed you to find a new
completely. And for my wife is a composer, and she knew she's going to be a musician from the age of 4, probably, and that defines who she is, who she was, who she will be. I was not like that at all. I definitely have no artistic background. I never thought, or my parents never thought that I would be an artist there. My mom is still surprised about that. And only at the age of 35, something came together. But that thing came together because I was looking around. And if at the age of 27 or so, you kind of settle in, you say, this is what I know, this is what I do, you might miss. So it's a good question. I mean, it's really, I don't think there is one answer. You have to be obsessive and repetitive and stubborn to do something substantial in any field, but you have to be flexible to look around and seize opportunities as they come, which might mold you to be someone that you have the potential of being. And I can definitely imagine a parallel future or present of me having not come to the States, having not gone to ITP, and being in the job doing industrial design. And I think it's a much less happy me, but I don't know, it's a parallel one. And maybe there are another million parallels to me that I can't even imagine. But that particular one I can imagine.
But you're enjoying this one.
Completely. You know ITP. I'm very lucky to stick around here. That ITP defines who I am.
So, can you guys any dirt on
Next week, Dano responds. This is great. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Sure.
Yeah,
we really appreciate it.
Good. I appreciate it.
Hold on a second. We're going to let you go right after this commercial break.
Okay, cool.
Hi, I'm an unassuming pie salesman, and I have a terrible secret. My terrible secret is that I'm trying to sell you a pie with a terrible secret. Here it is. Hi, I'm a pie, and I have a terrible secret. One time I jumped in a river with unreasonably high levels of fecal coliform. One time I flew into a man's face in Reno just to watch him be overcome with deliciousness. Pies do it better in the oven. That's not a secret, but it's terrible. One time I bought a fish and returned it. One time I got a haircut I didn't like. One time I gave someone else a haircut they didn't like. One time I said I was vegan, but I really wasn't. One time I was vegan, but I didn't tell anyone. One time, I stole all the pie crusts out of the bank vault. One time, I put cod liver oil in a fellow pie, and now that pie also has a terrible secret.
Full of fresh fruit flavor.
And we're back. That was a great commercial.
Yeah, it was.
All right, well, thank you for being on our show today.
Okay. See you on the other side of the hour.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, I think we have to probably get back to work now.
Yeah,
Yeah, me too.
We'll immediately see
What
you.
time is it?
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Late.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Thanks
Thank
again.
you so much.
Bye. It's
Okay,
mine
bye.
now.
Oh, you can.
No.
It's whatever.
No, we didn't take mine.
Okay.
Thanks.
Sure.
Okay, back to work.